Hey guys, it's Sarah. Thank you so much for watching. So today I wanted to share with you some tips for kind of repurposing and getting maximum use out of your project pan items, or really just any item in your collection that you're trying to use up or kind of work through a little bit more quickly. Maybe you are tired of using it for its intended purpose, but you still want to get your money's worth out of it. So these are kind of some creative ways you might not have thought of, maybe you already have, to get some more use out of those products. Some of these things I actually can't take credit for because they're tips that you guys have shared with me in the comments section on my Project Pan videos or with me on Instagram, and so I can't take credit for those, but I will try to credit those of you who have shared these really helpful tips with me as I'm sharing them so that I'm not the one stealing credit for your awesome ideas. So the first tip I have is for any kind of lip balm or lip oil that you have, especially if it's one that you don't really like to wear as a lip balm, or you feel like maybe you don't like the taste of it, or you don't like what it does for your lips. So I have the First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Lip Therapy that I'm trying to use up. I've cut it open recently and I'm almost done with it, but I'm just kind of trying to speed up the process of using it up because I just want to finish it. And then I also have this Yes to Argan lip oil that I really don't like to wear on my lips because, for one thing, it dries my lips out, and two, I don't like the taste of it. So the way that I've found to use products like this, whether I'm just trying to use up a lip balm faster or use a lip product that I don't really like for its intended purpose, is to use it as a lip product remover. So there are a lot of brands that make like lipstick remover products, but these will also work just fine for that because most products like this contain different oils or just really emollient ingredients that are going to break down a lip product if they're applied over the top of them. Especially if you're somebody who like has a YouTube channel or an Instagram where you're swatching lip products a lot. I know that's a very specific population of people, but or if you just got a stubborn lip product and you don't want to use your like eye makeup remover to remove it, you can totally use these kinds of things for that, and it does a great job. And that way you're not, if it's a product that you don't really like the taste of, you're just putting it on and then rubbing it off. Usually I just rub it off with a washcloth, either wet or dry, works just fine. And another way that you could use these would be if you are wanting to exfoliate your lips with a washcloth. Really all you need to exfoliate your lips is like a rough washcloth. Applying like a lip balm or oil on your lips first will kind of soften up the dry skin on your lips, and then you can just like rub it off a lot easier with a washcloth versus if you didn't put something like this on first. So those are a couple ways to use up lip balms and lip oils faster, especially if they're ones that you don't really like to wear as like a lip treatment. The next tip is one that a subscriber actually shared with me in a comment on a video. They said if I have a face moisturizer that is too flowery or too fragrant, she'll use it as a foot cream. That really got me thinking, like face creams and eye creams and any kind of moisturizer that's labeled as a face product, it's just a lotion. Like you could use that anywhere on your body. I wouldn't recommend using a body lotion on your face because a lot of times those might have fragrance in them that wouldn't be safe for like the eye area, or the skin on your face is just a little bit more delicate than the rest of your skin. So if you have a face cream or anything like that, whether it's too heavily fragranced or maybe it irritates your skin on your face because that skin is a little bit more sensitive than the rest of your body, you can use that on other parts of your body if it doesn't irritate those areas. So you could use them as a foot cream, a hand cream, a body lotion. Odds are you're probably going to use it up a lot faster that way because your body has a much greater surface area than just your face or just your under eyes. So if you're trying to use up a product like that you don't really like on your face, you can totally repurpose it for your rest of your body. Also, the backs of your hands, I've heard, are supposed to be one area of your skin that shows signs of aging the fastest. So if you have like an anti-wrinkle cream or some kind of face cream that just isn't working well on your face, just kind of slathering it on the back of your hands. I mean, I don't know if it's gonna really help, but could potentially help with anti-aging on your hands. So there's one idea, but definitely gonna keep that tip in mind in the future if I have like a face product that I just don't like on my face. Okay, so I have a few tips for using up blushes faster that you guys shared with me. Mostly on my most recent Project Pan update, I specifically asked you guys at the end of that video, let me know if you have any tips for using up blushes faster, because blushes take me forever and I really am trying to kind of pare down the size of my blush collection, really use up some of my older blushes, and blushes are just like the hardest thing for me to pan. So some of you guys shared some really great tips with me. The first one was because I told you guys in that video that I don't wear makeup every single day because a lot of times I just feel like I don't have time. Victoria suggested reapplying and wearing blush even if you don't wear any real base. So this is something that I've been trying a lot lately on days where I'm not really wearing any makeup. I never really thought to do this because I figured, well, if I'm not wearing any makeup or any foundation, my natural like color in my cheeks is showing through. So I just didn't really think to try it. But I tried it recently and I've been doing it a lot now on those days where I'm not wearing any makeup, just applying blush to my cheeks. I'm actually surprised with how long it lasts on my cheeks throughout the day. And I actually really like what it does. It just kind of brightens up my whole face. A lot of times when I'm not wearing any foundation or any makeup at all, my face does kind of look just a little pale, but just throwing on a little bit of blush onto my cheeks just does a lot more for my like overall complexion than I really thought it would. And so that is probably my #1 tip. And I know, a lot of people say if you're wanting to use up your products faster, the real tip is just to wear makeup more often. Like try to wear makeup as often as you can. You should never really force it if you're just not in the mood to wear makeup. Don't force yourself to wear makeup just because you're trying to pan things. But that is a tip that I am going to be doing a lot more now because not only is it helping me use up my blushes faster, I have 2 blushes in my project pan right now. I also just really like the way it looks, so I'm probably going to do that even when I'm not trying to pan blushes because it really does just kind of brighten up my face. Even if I don't wear any other makeup, you can't really tell that I'm wearing blush because it's just kind of fading into the natural look of my skin. So great idea. Another tip that a subscriber named Rachel shared with me was to actually dust a little bit of blush into my hair. I haven't tried it yet, but just to give like a fun tint of like a rosy color to my hair. I'm definitely going to try that soon. That sounds like a lot of fun. It's not every day that I want my hair to be pink, but I definitely am going to try that just to see how it goes. Several of you also suggested wearing blush as an eyeshadow, and I've been doing that a lot lately too. I especially like that it really does just tie the whole look together. If you're wearing the same blush on your cheeks as you are as an eyeshadow, it kind of just ties everything together and it looks so natural. So I've been using blush kind of as a transition color a lot. Another great thing about using any kind of cheek product as an eyeshadow, if you're trying to pan it, is that usually you need to pick up more product that way on your brush than you do. Like if I'm just using a blush on my cheeks, I have to pick up just the tiniest amount on my brush, otherwise I'll look like a clown. But for eyeshadow, since blushes are a little bit more sheer anyway, you're probably going to be picking up more product on your brush to get it to really show up on your eyes. So it also helps you kind of use it up faster, and that's a tip that kind of seems obvious, but I never really did it because I was like, well, I have so many eyeshadows, I might as well use those as eyeshadows. But I usually enjoy like kind of rosy transition colors anyway, and so it just makes a lot of sense. Also, the whole monochromatic makeup trend has been really popular these days, and that's a great way to do like a monochromatic pinky look or peachy look, is just to use just like a wash of your blush on your eyes as your eyeshadow and the same color on your cheeks, and it just creates this like beautiful like kind of really easy monochromatic makeup look. So those are a couple of great ways to get some more use out of your blushes, because for me, I think the reason why it takes me so long to use up blushes normally is because I have to use such a light hand with them on my cheeks. But when I'm using them on my eyes, or if I'm just using them for more purposes, I'm just getting more use out of it, and it's been a lot of fun to experiment with that. So definitely recommend just kind of experimenting with using your blushes for different purposes. Another tip, and I think that this one is pretty well known, so I won't spend too much time on it, but this is a tip that I learned from Kaylee Baute, who is another YouTuber she does project pan videos and all kinds of makeup videos as well. But she is the person that I first heard this tip from, is to mix any kind of shimmery face primer or liquid highlighter, anything like that, with your body lotion, especially like if it's a face primer that you just don't really like on your face, but you want to use it for something. I was doing this with my Physicians Formula Spotlight Primer before it kind of went bad and I just decided to declutter it. But just mix a little bit of that with your body lotion if you're wearing a dress, or if you want to kind of give your collarbones a little bit of a glow, or your shoulders, whatever, or just your entire body. That's a great way to just kind of use up more of that product, especially because if you're putting it all over your body, you're going to use up a lot more of that. That's how I have used up like a little mini liquid highlighters in the past, and it's just a great way to just speed up the process of using those things up, especially if you don't necessarily love them on your face but you still want to use them. And then another thing that I thought of was if you have a like powder highlighter that you're trying to use up faster, you could also crush that up into like a fine powder and mix that with your body lotion, or even a body oil. I know like shimmery body oils are a huge trend right now. You can just do like a DIY shimmery body oil, body lotion. Those are some great ways to finish up highlighters faster, liquid or powder. I think that either one could work. Another tip, this is something that I did a while ago, probably one of my first project pans. I think it was the first project pan I ever did on my channel. I was trying to use up a black pencil liner. I think it was one from Wet n Wild. But a great way to kind of speed up the process of using one of those up is you can take like an angled liner brush or whatever kind of liner brush you have, and dip it directly onto the pencil and just apply it as if you were applying like a cream or gel eyeliner. And I did that today with the Jordana 12 Hour Made to Last liquid eyeliner pencil in the shade Black Point. This is just the black pencil that I have on hand. I should really probably try to use this up. I don't use black pencil liners very often. If I'm going to wear a black eyeliner, it's usually going to be like a winged liner on the upper lash line. And so if you have a black pencil liner lying around that you want to use up, try that tip, because not only does it kind of give you a little bit more versatility with this kind of a product, as opposed to only being able to use it as like a normal pencil liner, it also gives you the option to use it as a winged liner, kind of like a cream liner. This one at least looks a little bit softer and less like opaque than an actual liquid eyeliner, but it's a great way to use it, and it also kind of helps you just use up more, because when you're dipping a brush into something like this, it's going to help it go down faster. So if you're trying to use up like a pencil liner before it dries up, or before you just want to get it used up, try that tip, because it can definitely help you use it up faster. If you're trying to use up a kind of light colored eyeshadow, whether it's in a Pan That palette or a single shadow, whatever. I'm gonna use the shade Beam Me Up from ColourPop as an example here. A great way to get another use out of any eyeshadow, especially if it's a light shimmery one, is to use it as a highlight. But if you're using a color like this that's kind of a light shimmery or light metallic type of color, you could do it with a blue or a pink or like a light gold, anything like that. The other day I actually was able to use this as a cheekbone highlight by mixing it with my regular face highlight. So I kind of mixed it with like the more pearly colors in this Physicians Formula Natural Nude Shimmer Strips highlighter. I mixed those two colors together because on its own, this ColourPop shade just looks a little bit too blue and a little bit too dark, but you can always mix things together. So in mixing those two colors together, I was able to get almost like a duochrome, not really duochrome, kind of like a holographic blue cheekbone highlight, which is kind of another fun way, especially if you're also wearing this shade on your eyes. Again, it kind of ties together the whole look. So I actually was wearing this color on my cheekbones and on my eyelids, and then I was also wearing my blush as an eyeshadow in the crease and on my cheeks. Both colors were on my eyes and on my cheeks, so it was kind of cool, kind of fun. Just another way to get creative, but also to experiment with like a different kind of makeup look. Definitely not something I'd wear every day, a blue highlighter, but if you don't have a blue highlighter or like really funky holographic highlighters, you can totally use eyeshadows to do the same thing, even if you're not trying to pan them. And then my last tip is if you have a face powder that you don't like to use to set foundation because maybe it just looks a little bit too heavy and cakey over foundation, use it alone as a powder foundation. So I have currently this Milani Conceal and Perfect Shine Proof powder. I have it in the shade Fair. This is just a little bit too heavy and cakey for me most of the time. I make it work over the top of foundation by just using a very light hand. I did that today, but I find that a lot of the times when I use this over foundation, it just looks a little bit too heavy and cakey. But a way that I love using this is just alone as a powder foundation. This is a powder that has a little bit of coverage to it. It is a pressed powder, but I mean, you could do this with a loose powder as well. Any kind of powder that has coverage, but that maybe is just a little bit too much when it's layered over a foundation. Just wearing it alone as a powder foundation, especially if you're wearing it over a nice like kind of dewy primer or moisturizer, or like I have a really dewy sunscreen that I'm trying to use these days. This on its own on top of that kind of a product looks really nice, really natural. It does give my skin some coverage. Definitely not as much coverage as an actual foundation because it's not meant to be a powder foundation, but it does, on kind of light makeup days, I actually really like the effect that gives. Sometimes face powders do just look a little bit too heavy when they're over a foundation, but on their own they can look really nice. So those are just some tips that I have learned either from you guys or just through the process of project panning for getting more use out of your products, using things up faster. Sometimes you just get really tired of using the same product over and over again for the same purpose. So it can be really refreshing and fun to just find new ways to use those things. You know, you don't have to use things just for their intended purpose. There's always usually other ways you can find to use them, especially if you don't really like the product. Maybe think about doing something like this before you declutter it, especially if you really want to get your money's worth out of something. I kind of would prefer to find a purpose for something that I don't necessarily like for its intended purpose than just decluttering it, because a lot of times you can find out that you really like the product for something else, or you can at least get your money's worth from it if you're not enjoying it for what it's really meant for. So I hope this was helpful and fun whether you're project panning or not. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you to those of you who have shared tips with me. I've gotten so many helpful ideas from you guys. But thank you so much for watching. I will also link my whole project pan playlist down below if you want to check it out, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.